Are we? Looks like we are. We're here on Movie Crap. What's up, gamers? Wow, 13% for Doolittle on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Anyway, thank you all very much for being here. It's a special Friday edition of the show. And I think that's pretty cool, doing a Friday. Just kind of a schedule thing. I don't think I'll normally do a Friday show. But this time, I am. Why is Incredible Hulk trending all of a sudden? Uh-oh. Should I check that out? Did they finally make a Hulk movie or something? No, it's just some dumb thing. Never mind. I thought that was going to be a cool thing, and instead, it's just a stupid thing. Anyway, thank you all very much for everybody. Oh, it's 19% now. That's interesting. Why would it go up that much? Anyway, it's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. I like that. I like that, Ryan. That's cool. Alright, hey, welcome to Movie Crap. It's me, Jim. I'm here talking about entertainment-y, newsy stuff. Anyway, yes. Yeah, so it's cool to be here. Kind of a different thing. To be here on a Friday feels a little weird. Don't know if I'll do this again or whatever, but we are here. So anyway, I'm going to talk. It's kind of a lot of big stories, not a crazy movie news week. If you're here to hear me talk about Morbius or the Oscar nominations, check out my stream that was on Monday afternoon where I did that. This is basically about every other major entertainment news story from Tuesday to now. Yes. Anyway, if you want to support the show in any way, okay. Let me have some water. Crazy night. Okay, sorry about that. If you would like to support the show and let me be able to continue to do this and all that good stuff, either support me through my Patreon and in the description of this video, or send a super chat. If you cannot do that, just watching and liking and being a cool viewer is appreciated as well. But if you are financially able to support this channel, it is very much appreciated. And it's fun to talk in the show and everything like that. So, apparently everyone's streaming, including myself, so oh well. But anyway, we're here to talk about movie news, and all that stuff. But anyway, yes, if you super chat, Patreon, all that good stuff is always appreciated. And there's a link to support Show MomoCon that you want, that you're going to go to MomoCon for a pizza party if you happen to be going to MomoCon as well. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Zane Powers wanted me to say what up gamers, or what's up gamers, or what, is that a Pan thing or a somebody thing? I don't know. But there's kind of a lot of bigger things this week. And first off, I will say we have the date. We have the date for Norm of the North's Family Vacation on February 25th. Is going to be on demand. And I have a super chat. But yes, Norm of the North 4 will come out on demand on February 25th. We have a super chat from Discount Viscount. Get the Red Bull there. Have you mentioned the Harley Quinn show in a previous episode? If not, it's really good, so check it out. I've actually heard really good things about the Harley Quinn show. I haven't watched it. I don't have the DC universe thing, so no. But I'm kind of interested. I am interested if it's good, because I like good DC animated stuff. So I'm not opposed to watching it, but I guess in terms of paying for it, so maybe I'll just check it out on HBO Max. But thank you very much for the first super chat of the night from Discount Viscount. It is very much appreciated. And I think I needed some caffeine. All right. So first off, the bigger news that surprised me was Hank Azaria said he's going to stop voicing Apu on The Simpsons. This happened at the TCAs, which are the Television Critics Association that's going on right now. And he had some interesting quotes. You're probably going to see me bring up a lot of links because there's a lot of quotes today from people, which context-wise. But it sounds like he does not will not any longer be voicing Apu, or at least not in the current time frame. This is starting with the documentary The Problems with Apu, directed by Michael, directed by a guy's last name I'm going to mispronounce, but that came out recently. Kind of started with that, and they were aware it was a problem because of the previous episode that they talk about in the documentary. But in the commentary, which was for Brockmere, which is not his, which is not for The Simpsons. It was actually not a panel for The Simpsons, which I didn't realize till just looking at this quote. But he said, "We all know we all know I won't be doing the voice anymore unless there's some way to transition it or something." And he said, and then he said, "What they're going to do with the character is their call. It's up to Al Jean and Matt Groening, and they haven't sorted it out yet. All we've agreed on is I won't do the voice anymore. We all made the decision together. We all agreed on it, and we all feel like it's the right thing and good. It's the right thing and good about it." So, it sounds like they do want to kind of give him a goodbye. They're not literally going to just end Apu completely. Like he's never. The plan is to do something with him, but this sort of sounds like the problem we had with the Lisa thing. Like some issues will be addressed later, and you're like, okay, so when are you going to address it? And they're sort of like, well, we're thinking about maybe addressing it at some point. And you're sort of like, what? Guys, like, this is like the internet age. Like, how is this taking so long? Like, when was the Apu documentary? Wasn't that like 2 years ago? I mean, yes, it was 2 years, almost 3 years ago that this thing came out and played at Sundance and stuff. And they're like, well, our reaction is to not do it and we'll think about it or something, is really lame. Like, they need to do something about this and hit it. I still think the guy who made the documentary should be on The Simpsons and confronting Apu and have like this thing and like really go in at it. I think that would be cool. I think I talked about what to do on like a previous Pizza Party podcast, but they should do something with it. But they like just haven't. They're just like kind of just continually going like, we'll just get to it eventually, you know, when you know, SJW's calm down or something. Seems to be their thing. But apparently, yes, Hank Azaria said he's not doing Apu anymore. I haven't watched The Simpsons currently, so I don't even know when the last time he was on, or like, I realized like even when I watched The Simpsons was so long ago, like new episodes. I've watched the older ones. Obviously, I did a review of Treehouse of Horror and stuff, but I've watched the older ones since then. But the newer ones, like I haven't watched so long. You could literally, I could, you know, that's like 16 years or something. It's been so long. So, although actually maybe not that long, but it's definitely been almost a decade. So I don't even know what's going on with Apu and all that. I was thinking how like The Simpsons, those first couple seasons are such a part of my life and part of my personality and part of who I am. And then the current seasons, I like have no clue, which is The Simpsons, I guess. But yeah, they're currently saying, although he's pretty much gotten rid of, they will eventually find an end and find something to do with him, is the feeling as of right now. Now, moving on to the other new... Well, I'll talk about... okay. I'll talk about Taika Waititi doing... Yeah, we'll do that. Taika Waititi doing Star Wars. So, this came out from The Hollywood Reporter, which is usually a pretty reputable source. And he has sort of denied it, but supposedly Disney has come to Taika Waititi and said, do you want to develop a Star Wars movie? And I think that makes sense, coming off of the fact that Taika Waititi just directed a really great episode of The Mandalorian, and also coming off of a ton of Oscar nominations for Jojo Rabbit, and it sort of makes sense. He has said it's rumors by posting the picture of Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors, although that album is based on facts. So there we go. But apparently people are not sure. Pretty much no one knows very much of anything. But there was kind of like the bigger... it was sort of the bigger people at Hollywood Reporter that reported it. So I think because of that, I sort of believe there's some validity to it. Whether he did anything, whether he's going to do anything with it or anything like that, I don't know. But regardless of that, even if he wants to develop this, his next film is called Next Goal Wins for Searchlight, which we'll get to that whole thing later, or pretty soon. And then after that, he's doing Thor: Love and Thunder. So I don't think this will come out anytime soon. It just sounds like, you know, and everyone, we always hear of projects he's developing. So I think, like, you know, even if this happens, we're not going to see it for a while because it doesn't sound like he has the time to work on it. But he's doing another small movie, and then he's going to do another Thor movie. And would he even, the other question is, like, since he likes doing smaller movies and bigger movies, would he do another couple small movies? Oh, let's move the mic there. A couple more small movies before he does a Star Wars. Since we don't even know the date, is this the Kevin Feige one he's producing? I don't know. Oh, who's this little guy? I'm assuming you don't mean any of these guys. He's someone from the Tick. I have these Tick figures that I bought a long time ago, and I don't even know who he is, but I have these Tick figures. That's my cat Toulouse, who sort of wants to come out, but I kind of want to get through this. But anyway, let's deal with the Taika Waititi thing. I think there's some validity to it, but it's probably like, here's this offer, and he's sort of not sure about it. And to be honest, that guy's so busy between Oscar campaigning and, like, you know, making a movie he's currently making and then making a Marvel movie. Would he make a Star Wars movie? Is it the one Feige's doing? Is it another one? Is Kathleen Kennedy involved? Who knows? The other thing that came out of this is Rian Johnson's next film looks to be a Knives Out sequel and not his trilogy, which everyone pretty much considers to be done, although no one's officially said he's not doing it. But apparently his next movie will most likely be Knives Out 2 from Rian Johnson. Alright. Next up, Guns Akimbo. This was the trailer that came out, and it's very high concept. Okay, so this is very much a cult kind of movie. It feels like a 2009 kind of cult movie they put out in theaters because they know it would sell really well on DVD later, and I get it. So Guns Akimbo is about Daniel Radcliffe, and there's like this thing where people like watch other people get killed online, and I think it has a name for the thing he's doing. And so he gets guns like kind of like stapled to his hand, and he has to like find his way and kill this like crazy assassin person somehow. It looks fine. I'm not as into this sort of thing. I used to really love like movies that are made to be a cult movie, which this very much looks like it is. I'm sort of like, but I do think it looks better than Free Guy. Well, it looks more adventurous. I think Free Guy actually looks a lot of fun. It looks like the last action hero of video game movies. But I kind of, I don't know. It looked too high concept. It looks sort of like, if you ever remember that movie from a couple years ago, Nerve, it looks like the more crazier version of that. But I'm curious if it like really is going to say something about social media or just be completely ridiculous or something like that. I'm a little like hesitant on this. Although I feel like this is something like if you're younger, you get so excited about like, this is crazy. How can this even work? And then you see it and you're like, oh, it didn't. Shit. So I don't know. Anyway, but we'll see what happens with that whole thing. All right, before I get to, I'll do a couple and then I'll get to the Disney Fox thing. There was a new Black Widow trailer. It looked a little more interesting in terms of seeing Taskmaster mimic what Black Widow is doing. I sort of like that. I'm not like so excited for this movie. It sort of just looks like a decent blockbuster to me. And I'm sorry about that. There's a super chat from Will. If anyone is interested in Guns Akimbo, I'd recommend Jason Lee Howden's feature debut in 2015, Deathgasm, trashy but silly fun. I like the name Deathgasm, at least. Thank you very much for the super chat, Will. Cheers to you. Where were we? Oh, Black Widow. It looked cool. Apparently there was a controversy over not so much a controversy, but no one's sure who the cinematographer of Black Widow is. It wasn't listed in the credits in the trailer. People are trying to figure it out. It was supposed to be the cinematographer who usually works with Alex Garland, and had been announced as such, but then apparently they switched out for the guy who shot Blade 2, because he's like a Marvel kind of second unit guy, and he like stepped up supposedly. No one's really sure, but that's sort of an interesting side note. But Black Widow looks, it's sort of just like, I keep getting more close to like, this looks competent and fine. Bringing up the cinematography made me appreciate it a little more. And the Taskmaster thing, but I'm not like, yeah. I mean, Red Bull gives me energy, so it's like it gives me things, you know. Oh yeah, I guess it is sort of like how Wonder Park has no director. I don't know if there's ever been a film that doesn't have a credited cinematographer. I didn't look that up. I should have. All right, so the next thing is Regal and AMC do this thing where they play all the Best Picture nominees and do kind of a festival. And it's what happened last year is they're like, well, we're not going to play Roma. We're going to play all of them but Roma. And this year, they've done it, are going to be even worse because they're not playing both Marriage Story and The Irishman. So of the 9 nominees, they're only going to play 7 of them. And the other 2 you just have to watch on Netflix, apparently. Which is weird because I'm like, I get that you're not playing The Irishman and Marriage Story in theaters because you and Netflix can't come to like a compromise. It's like neither of them, they need to work it out. They need to figure out how to, backing up a little, sorry. They need to figure out how to work this out because it's like been a constant industry problem for actually, maybe I'll move up back. Okay. Okay. Sorry. It's been a constant industry problem that they really seriously need to work out. Yeah, they're basically, if you want to see that like Best Picture festival thing, you actually will not see all the Best Pictures. You'll see all the ones that were theatrically released in mainstream chain theaters, but you will not see The Irishman, nor will you see Marriage Story. If I was an independent theater, I would try to rival this and be like, see the one where you can actually see all of the Best Picture nominees. I'm also wondering why no one does that with animated feature or documentary feature or foreign film. Like, that would be cool, actually. I wish they would do that also, but they don't. Or at least I haven't heard of anyone doing that. But I was thinking today, like, I would go to an animation one, even though I've seen all 5 of those movies. But yeah, so Best Picture, I think, it's just sort of dumb because I'm like, you know, you're just losing out on money because people are going to be like, you're basically asking them to watch something on Netflix and not promoting the theatrical experience. Like, just promote the theatrical experience. Like, get off your shit on it. It just annoys me. Okay. So, yeah. All right. And, okay, before I do the Disney thing, sorry. Little crazy today. Apparently, according to a study that justifies my own existence, going to the movies is considered a light workout because you put down your phone, you're not being distracted, you're fully focused on the film if it's good, and you know, it's a whole experience. So apparently it is. So apparently I work out a lot, or light workout, when I go to the movies once a week. So that's cool. I don't know. I just found this study to be sort of dumb. I like when people push studies like, hey, apparently we're great. You know, like how people in the Mystery Science Theater groups I'm in always go like, apparently if you like B movies, you're really smart. And it's like, you know, did you know, apparently if you watch this show, you're like, you guys, everyone who watches my show is the smartest person in the fucking world. I did a study that I independently verified by myself, and everyone who watches this show is the greatest, like, probably morally better than anyone, and smarter too. So I justified that based on me and my cat Toulouse over there. We decided you guys are the greatest, smartest people ever. Just because you watch, every time you watch a video, your intelligence actually goes up, and you're already the smartest people ever. So you're like overlapping the intelligence of everyone. Anyway, sorry, Jesus just came in. Or Jesus, I'm not sure. Okay, anyway. Hey, Jim, have you heard about the Beastie Boys documentary coming to Apple TV in April? I have, and now you've just made me talk about it. Anyway, cheers to you. Thank you very much for the super chat. It sounds interesting because Spike Jonze is involved, and it makes me actually want to watch Apple Plus. So it sounds cool. I am a huge Beastie Boys fan. I will probably watch that. I like the chat's going, thoughts on Don't Breathe 2, and yes, it's going to happen. From Big Bang Theory Bro 333 return. Thank you again, Jesus B, for the super chat. I've heard about Don't Breathe 2. It sounds like it's going to Fede Alvarez's film making buddy from way back in the day. It sounds like it's happening. It's kind of a little too... like, if I was going to make a Don't Breathe 2, I would have put it out in like 2017, and it's like 2020, and they are just starting to go into production. Not a good sign. I don't think. Yeah, like Ryan Walterson. To be fair, you have to be a very high IQ to understand movie crap. That's what I've been saying. I didn't see Ace the Windwriter. My Flicks Friday buddy is in the chat. Thank you for being here. I should listen to I should listen to the audiobook of Beast Please. I should do that. Anyway, so Disney, I didn't intro that right. Disney is going to be dropping the Fox from 20th Century Fox, supposedly, because they're a little embarrassed that Fox is, Fox News and all that stuff. Also, largely because they don't want it to get... Is he really... He'll be okay. I might jump up in a couple minutes to let him out. So, Disney is removing the Fox from 20th Century Fox and Fox Searchlight because they don't want it to be confused with Fox, which is still another corporation. It just has news and the channel and so forth, and want to separate themselves from it, but also because of the Fox News thing as well, apparently. Even so much as if you work for 20th Century Fox or Fox Searchlight, formerly, I guess. Well, you still work there, but the company's changed. Sorry. This is how you find out you're fired. No. That would suck. That's not funny. So apparently even your email changed. So it would be such and such at Fox Searchlight. Now it's like Searchlight or Searchlight Pictures. What's interesting about this is 20th Century Fox itself is a merger. It was Century Pictures, 20th Century Pictures and Fox combined to be 20th Century Fox. So it's actually going back to the studio what used to be named in 1935, so it's sort of a reboot. But interesting thing is Call of the Wild will be the first movie released under the 20th Century Studios banner. And then Searchlight Pictures' first one will be Downhill, which is the remake of Force Majeure with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. So yeah, apparently the Fox TV development ring and everything like that is not changed. So under The Simpsons and all those shows, even though the channel, ABC and Disney and all that, I'm sorry, just Disney, doesn't own the shows they do, and those shows will still say 20th Century Fox. They haven't done anything for the TV. This is just the movie part, which is interesting because you'd think they would just do the whole thing. And I don't think it's going to be called 21st Century. It's just going to be 20th Century. Whatever. Zane Powers asks, is this what Rupert Murdoch would have wanted? I mean, Rupert Murdoch, here's the thing about... this is an interesting thing to bring up, and I'm glad you brought it up. Cheers to you. Thank you very much for the super chat, Zane Powers. What's up, gamer? I should just say that every time Zane Powers does a super chat. What's interesting about that is, as much as Disney's like, oh hey, we don't want to be involved in Fox. We don't want to look like we were like Fox News. You guys gave like $70 billion and tons of stock options to Fox News. Like, no one has ever supported Fox News more than Disney did with that acquisition. So as much as they're like, hey, we're not like that, I'm like, dude, you literally just paid for, the Republican propaganda machine. So maybe, like, chill out about, like, you're distancing yourself, because that is bullshit, because they definitely just they literally gave them more money than anyone ever has, ever. So, don't be acting like you're like, I'm not trying to be political, but like what I'm saying is, like, if you're like, we're embarrassed of them, don't give them like billions and billions of dollars and make them, a huge stock option and all that stuff. That's all I'm saying. I have nothing, I'm not getting, but I'm just saying, if you don't like something, don't give it a couple $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? That seems a little stupid to me. Yeah. So I want to talk about 2 Tarantino things, and we're going to talk about Peacock. So Tarantino apparently still might make a Star Trek movie. He's not opposed to it. Apparently the Star Trek movie, it sounds like something like he's going to write and develop. He's not going to direct. No one's sure what's going on with it. It sounds like no one at Bad Robot wants him to lose it, because as soon as but apparently there's this whole thing, which is a larger thing, that Paramount doesn't want Bad Robot involved in Star Trek anymore. They want it to be its own thing because they get more merchandising money, and Tarantino is coming through Bad Robot, so Tarantino's happens, then Bad Robot has I believe, a Bad Robot movie that he's involved with. Apparently everyone likes the idea. It's also like a Tarantino Star Trek film. I think people would really be into that. So the other thing is he claimed... So here's the thing about Tarantino news, and why sometimes, if you ever notice, I'm like less... Like, I don't go on about it as much, because I've been following Quentin Tarantino since the 90s. And I've heard so many projects that are like so super announced. Like literally I've heard of his projects that are in development, like the Vega Brothers. I heard them talk about that on the fucking news. And like the evening news were like, hey, the Vega Brothers is going to happen. This is a prequel to Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction's so good, right? And then like the actual news. The news is dumb. But the point is that never happened. like it never happened. So I'm very apprehensive about reporting stuff like that. But apparently, he says he's going to direct 5 episodes of Bounty Law. Where these are going to go, who knows? Is DiCaprio attached? Has he said he's going to do it? Nothing like that. And I think I need to let Toulouse out because he's getting weird. This Toulouse is my orange cat. This is literally like such a short break, and I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay. Whoa, that was so quick. By the time I came back, I like somehow, I really don't mean to do it, but the camera like gets out of focus while I leave. Like, I wish I could tell you I programmed that, because that would make me like such a genius, right? I'd be like a smart person. And then it gets back in focus. Beautiful. I love it. I don't know how I did that. Anyway, so Tarantino might make these things. We'll see. Sounds like he's not even going to approach it until probably after his wife. I think his wife's pregnant, so I'd imagine... thank you, Courtney. I'd imagine that it's probably, knowing as the first year you have a kid's pretty overwhelming. So I feel like after that, presumably, I don't know him, so I don't know why I went on that random thing. Tarantino should direct the Jim biopic. If he wants to, I am fine with that. Thank you very much, Sergio. Ace, if you really want to fix my kid, there's nothing to really fix about it. Anytime I put settings on it, there's a delay in the audio, so that's why I don't do that. But I don't think it looks necessarily that bad. But it's just a simple Logi kind of thing. Anyway, Sergio, thank you very much for the super chat. And I actually like the out of focus thing. I think it looks cool. So I'm cool with it. I don't know. Maybe you guys hate it. Well, thank you for the support, Sergio. Thank you for hating my camera, Ace the Wind Rider. So, Peacock, which was announced yesterday. The knock force scene would be brutal. I like that. Thank you, Bruce Parker. Peacock at first was the streaming service I could literally give two shits about, and when I first heard it announced, I was like, whatever. But it actually is an interesting conversation. So there's going to be 3 tiers, one of which is free. Actually, it's going to be ad supported. And in fact, this is going to use a lot of ads in it. There's going to be 3 tiers. One is the free tier, which is going to have apparently half of their library and things like that. The premium tier, where it's basically everything with ads, which is $5, and the premium plus or something for $10. It will actually be available for people who have Comcast and Cox, which is a cable company apparently. Really on the dick jokes with the streaming service. Okay. And that will launch in April, and then for everyone else in July. Interesting features on it. It will have virtual channels, basically, for various things that Universal or NBC Universal and all that have. One for indie movies is actually going to be called Art House, which I appreciate, because I actually sort of hate when people say art house movies or independent movies, because that's just how a film is financed. That's not an actual type of movie. I really actually hate that. So it's kind of cool. I'm glad they're doing that, because that's really what art house movies are. You know, they should be categorized as such. I think that's cool. I'm excited for that. It's going to have over 600 films and over 400 shows. And it's going to have The Office after next year, after Netflix, and all the SVU Dick Wolf shows are going to be there as well. He got like a 9-figure deal. So if Dick Wolf would like to send me a super chat, that would be appreciated. Sorry, that was stupid. But anyway, is also going to have the Curious George show, an original Curious George show, and MacGruber is going to be on there. And I kept seeing something about Madagascar, like a baby Madagascar show, but I never saw that. Anyway, what's this Adventure Zone thing? Very confused what the chat's talking about. But here's the bigger thing about this, and something that could potentially be like a completely game-changing shift for streaming video. So Peacock, notably, of all these major corporate streaming services that have launched, Peacock is having a free thing and is going to be ad-supported rather than just simply using a subscription service, which they are. They have that option as well. But unlike Hulu or something, they're going to take the, they have an ad sales team who buys ads for TV. And basically this is sort of industry, but it could, anyway, I want to talk about this because it's sort of important. So if they're going to use that ad sales team to put that on online video, streaming video. So basically, if this is successful and it works, which it has a potential to do because they have, regardless of what you think of NBC or anything, they obviously have a pro sales team. If they're able to sell online streaming video ads at kind of close to what it's like on broadcast TV, or like, even at a tenth of that, because it really isn't there now, and getting it taken more seriously, that could completely change streaming video, even everything from Hulu to possibly even YouTube. So don't quit your job for your YouTube channel yet, but it could potentially be huge in terms of revenue for people with streaming video. Because suddenly all these people will be spending more money on streaming video for their ads than they are on broadcast. That is the hypothetical. But Peacock has to be successful. So if Peacock is successful, so Adventure Zone is in a podcast, and Peacock is going to make an animated series based on it. Sounds like a D&D podcast. Okay, that's cool. But that sounds interesting. But basically, if this happens, it could do a huge shift in terms of streaming video, and could be kind of the shift away from broadcast. Another thing with this service that is kind of different is the late night shows are going to if you have premium, you can watch them about 2 to 3 hours earlier than when they broadcast. So it sounds like they're going to cater things more towards the streaming end while also doing ads on a massive scale. So this, like, literally, I'm not joking. I'm not trying to act like, YouTube's going to be the next big thing or something. But this could potentially change a lot of things if it is successful. So this is probably one of the more game-changing announcements we have seen about streaming video. So it's actually kind of interesting, and it is going to kind of have to make online video ads or commercials on YouTube and other things change quite drastically if this happens. So we'll see what happens with that, but it's actually kind of really interesting. It's a lot more interesting than you realize, than I ever thought it would be. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens. But we'll see. We'll see what the full deal is, but I'm just saying potentially this could be a huge game changer. We should actually treat it as such, but we'll see. Anyway, so it was announced. There's been a lot of like weird James Bondy news because we're getting ready for the new movie. Nick Nitro. Hey Jim, how's it going? Hey Nick Nitro, how are you doing? Nice to see you there. Alright, so Billie Eilish will sing the James Bond theme. That's kind of an interesting choice, I think. Maybe it'll not just be a sort of lame, big ballady song. It'll be something different. I'm a little curious about that. I like that Billie Eilish song. It seems fine to me. I know Todd in the Shadows picked it as his best song of 2019. I definitely think it is a good song, but it's kind of a different thing than we hear from James Bond themes. So hey, I'm all here for that. Okay, before I get to a bunch of Star Wars stuff, the Bloodshot trailer The Blood... No, I didn't watch that. Why did I put that? I meant to watch that, and I didn't, and I should have deleted that. I really don't have a lot to talk about, as much as usual. Anyway, Ezra Miller's Flash cameo. I don't watch The Flash, but I thought this was cool that he was able to do it. Apparently, it was pushed on by the Warner Brothers, the head studio there, and they wanted some cohesion. I thought it was a cool little cameo. It was fun. I watched the clip online a couple times. I was like, that's kind of neat. I'm glad they did that. It looks like Ezra Miller's still committed to play the Flash. That's what we got on that. Oh, thanks, Nick Nitro. Oh, you should... Thank you. I like that Nick Nitro's here. That was cool. Alright. Next up, let's talk about some Star Wars stuff. So first, Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion, which is a thing, but it's kind of the kind of thing about the thing about it that's kind of interesting is that this potentially could be the last $1 billion grosser we have. Some people are saying up until Avatar 2, which is the end of 2021. I'm not going to be that grim, but I will say we don't have a lot of franchise things in 2020 that are like established that are like that'll definitely make $1 billion. I think Wonder Woman 1984 could, but this box office analyst for Ford, Scott Mendelson, just brings up that like it could seriously, there's a real potential we won't have a huge $1 billion grosser like this in a long time, which is bring up an interesting argument about people going to the theaters and everything like that. So I think that's sort of interesting to think about in that way. I don't think it is as grim as he's saying, but it is interesting to think how different 2020 is going to be from 2019 because Disney like hit so many big sequels. I really don't understand why they didn't like move stuff to 2020 because there's just like too many things. Like why didn't Frozen 2 come out later and everything like that? I don't know. So the Star Wars Duel of the Fates Episode 9 script. I watched the video from the guy whose name I was going to try to remember, and I didn't. Who's the guy who's kind of on the John Campea show a lot. He actually has a good kind of stream, and he goes over like kind of story stuff, and I quite enjoyed it. And he had read the Episode 9 Duel of the Fates script, which was written by Colin Trevorrow and his writing partner, and he went through it. And I watched that whole video, and I have to say, that script sounds way better than the Episode 9 we got. It sounds more like a fun Star Wars movie. They steal a Star Destroyer in it. Mark Hamill has a much bigger role than he had in the actual Episode 9. He's being the kind of Force ghost for both Kylo and Rey, which is incredibly interesting. They do some MacGuffin-y sort of things, and it feels more like the end to the trilogy of the new films and less trying to wrap up everything, which I thought is probably better. I really liked it. I like what they do with Kylo Ren. I like how they followed up Last Jedi and Force Awakens. It was a really cool script, and I recommend watching the video where he goes through it. It's kind of gotten me into the idea of scripts that never got made. That's like... I found this podcast, The Best Movies Never Made, and it's really cool. And he mentions that podcast on that video. And they kind of go in, they did one on Night Skies and E.T. 2, and I also listened to one they did on Return of the Planet of the Apes, or Return to the Planet of the Apes, something like that. And that's kind of like, that's an interesting thing, because I was thinking the era of lost media is the next step, like development hell movies, like scripts that got done, development projects that got done. Like that to me is really interesting. So The Best Movies Never Made is a good podcast. I'm probably going to tweet that out later. Thank you, Ryan Welcherson. It's Robert Meyer Burnett who made that video, and he does a really good job of breaking it down. But he brings up how Rose Tico has a much better role. He even said in the video, do not show the script to Kelly Marie Tran because she will be pissed because she has a great part in it. It sounded like so much of a better script, and it sounded like more trying to be a good Star Wars movie and less trying to be like this big culmination of nonsense that you're never going to live up to. And I think, it's shocking that I never thought Colin Trevorrow would write a Star Wars script that good. I was always kind of dreading it. But obviously it had to be changed because Carrie Fisher died. And this was submitted, I think, 11 days before she died. And it was relying on her to a certain extent. I think they could have cut those parts out or down or something like that. And Lando was in it, but it has Palpatine just shows up once, and like Kylo Ren's being trained by the person who trained Palpatine, and like all these really weird, interesting stuff. I thought it sounded really cool. I'm really for it, but it is interesting. It's called Duel of the Fates, which is named after the awesome, probably the best song in the Episode 1 score, everything like that. I thought it sounded really cool. So to me, it sounded like a good script, and now I'm very much into the Best Movies Never Made podcast, which I highly recommend, and just reading about movies that almost never happened. Like the original Bolt, which was called, I think it was American Dog. That sounded really, there's a lot of really cool stuff that I'm just getting into that. I don't know. It's a new thing, but that kind of spurred that interest on. But the Duel of the Fates script is kind of like, I wish that had happened. But again, the thing about reading a pitch or a development thing, there's a lot of bad movies that have really great scripts, and there's a lot of good movies that have terrible scripts. So it's sort of like kind of like a peek into a possibility of what would happen, but it's not, who knows. Colin Trevorrow might have screwed up Episode 9 anyway, but that script, it was really promising from what I heard. So try to check out that video if you're a Star Wars fan, and if you didn't like Episode 9 like me. Okay. So, I do have a lot of... Why did I think... Alright, so, Shane Carruth, who directed Upstream Color and Prime, right? He said he's going to be retiring after working on his third movie that he's going to direct. He's starring in something right now, but he is trying to make a movie which we haven't heard much movement on. He says he's going to retire after that. He makes a movie about a decade, once a decade, so I guess the 2020s will get a new movie from him, which is cool. But he says he's going to retire. I've heard him say, like, because he's had things he's tried to get made, and he's like, I think he helped a little bit on Looper, and he's tried to get stuff made, and always usually sort of doesn't work out. So I think it's probably because of the frustration of that. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, but I know he kind of hasn't, even though he had a film that was going to be produced by like David Fincher and Steven Soderbergh, it still didn't get made. So he's clearly like kind of, his projects are a little too weird, but the two movies he has made, Upstream Color and Prime, are really great. So you need to see those. Dexter Jester, that's true. Okay, so this is less... Well, okay, I'll talk about... So Universal and Warner's have made a joint home entertainment deal. Apparently, despite for home entertainment in terms of Blu-rays, DVDs, and 4K discs. And the deal, the kind of fusion deal is for 10 years. So as much as you thought Blu-ray and 4K and all that is going away, it still made about $5 billion last year, that industry. And it's apparently something, although it's going more towards collectors, it is not going away. Which is interesting. You thought physical media is dead. It looks like it's not based on this deal because they're keeping it around for 10 years. So it's interesting they came together to do that. It seems like they still know there's money to be made. It's just not the primary source of income from home entertainment now, but it's still something they're going to keep up. And it sounds like Universal and Warner's thinks there's going to be a future in that. It was announced today, I think it came out, Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge came out, that Joel McHale is playing Johnny Cage, which I thought was good casting. Was it Steve Bloom is going to be Sub-Zero, and all that stuff sounds kind of cool. No one's sure when it's going to come out, but it's going to be on VOD, which sounds pretty cool to me. I like the casting of Joel McHale as Johnny Cage. Alright, so next up, there isn't a Bolt episode on the Best Movies Never Made podcast. I was just saying I was personally interested in that. Apologies. They talk about other stuff on it, but not Bolt. I'm sorry if I confused anybody. But maybe I will do something about the Bolt thing at some point. The director of, one of the directors of Road to El Dorado and Shark's Tale has been indicted in France for harassment and a rape charge during the production of the film A Monster in Paris, because his victim recently committed suicide because of the incidents themselves. This is sad and unfortunate. And I think, not to bring the whole mood down, but I think it is, I don't know, just upsetting, particularly a director as notable. Sorry, it's hard to come away from this, but I think it is definitely really sad and upsetting that happened. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people in the film and animation industry who were getting away with a lot of horrible things and are now having to kind of pay for that. And it sounds like he definitely, you know, because I think, you know, when any, I don't know, similar to what happened with, I guess his name, what was his name? Nate Parker, when the person that he sexually harassed killed themselves. I think it makes people examine like the horrible thing they really did to that person. So, so forth, he should be treated how he is in France, which I'm glad they are kind of punishing him to the fullest extent of the law that they can. In other less people paying for things that they did to other people news, John Lasseter is still running Skydance Animation. If you were like, they definitely fired him, right? Which is sort of what I thought. They're not going to still do that. Oh no, he's still there. Cool. So basically, yes. Sorry to do like two creepy things in a row, but John Lasseter's film Luck, which Emma Thompson left, which who was going to have a major voice in it, which the previous director also left. He brought a director in, Peggy Holmes, who previously did Tinkerbell movie. It was known for Tinkerbell stuff. Now, here's the thing about that, which I find. Look, I have no problem with this director. I hope she gets her shot. I'm a little surprised. They clearly wanted a female director to do this, to kind of show that, hey, John Lasseter is not so bad. But here's the creepy side of this that no one's really talked about and is not going to make you feel good. John Lasseter really liked kind of sexually harassing women who dressed as Tinkerbell at the Tinkerbell movie premieres. So the fact that he hired a director who directed those movies, yeah, not great. Not a great look. As soon as I heard what she directed, I went, oh no. Why did no one, I don't know. I have noticed the thing about the Lasseter thing, which I find most interesting, is that there's so many people who don't forgot it. It's like not the Weinstein stuff. Like, he will never not be this horrible sexually harassing rapist. But then everybody's like, please stop. But then John Lasseter seems to, like, that legacy. Everyone's like, it's fine. Like, no, I hear so many people have forgotten it. It's like, it's the worst. I hate that. I really hate that. He should go down. And it sounds like, I've always heard rumors he's done worse, but allegedly. But anyway, something about monster trucks. Everyone feel better. So apparently Bad Boys 4 is already in development. That's sort of a joke, right? I don't know. And also apparently, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg apparently helped Judd Apatow rewrite and put jokes into Bad Boys 2. This would have been after Undeclared was canceled and they needed money, and Judd Apatow helped them out and helped them write Bad Boys 2. So that's interesting. The other thing to come out from the writer of Bad Boys 4 is also writing National Treasure 3, which apparently Disney is now actually developing. Remember when we were all like, they're not going to do that? And now they're like, no, we're doing that. We are definitely doing that. So it sounds like they're actually going to make a National Treasure 3. The Parasite series, which I think I was like not so into, and no one is, because it's going to be in English and produced by Adam McKay, and there's kind of some nonsense about that. I don't know. Bad Boys 4 should be named Bad Boys Forever. You're right, guys. Parasite, a Parasite miniseries is going to be on HBO, produced by Adam McKay. Apparently, how that happened, everyone thought, oh, HBO went to them because they're so lame, wanting like an American remake. No, Bong Joon-ho went to them and said, I have other ideas that I didn't get to do in the movie. I would like to flesh them out in a miniseries. So apparently it was Bong Joon-ho's idea, which makes it a little more interesting. We'll see what happens with that. But apparently they were not thrilled that came out before the Oscar nominations, but it seemed to sort of do fine. So I don't know if it did get nominated because of that, but they definitely did not want that coming out before the Oscars. They wanted it after. Oscar Isaacs is going to be in the adaptation of a comic called Ex Machina called The Great Machine. He's going to produce and star in it. It sounds actually really cool about a superhero who kind of can control machines and actually stopped one of the planes from hitting the two towers and became the mayor of New York and all this stuff. It sounds like a really crazy idea for a movie, but it sounds like something Oscar Isaacs would probably do really well with. So I think that could be cool. I don't know. Sounds neat to me. I just heard about that comic recently, and it's kind of funny. It's called the comic's called Ex Machina, and obviously they couldn't use that. And probably the other reason is oh yeah, we also have Oscar Isaacs. Let's distance ourselves as much as we can from the name Ex Machina. One thing I forgot to mention during my Oscars thing, one is that an unprecedented, there's never been that many films nominated for double-digit Oscars ever before, those being Joker, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, what was it, 1917, what was the other one? There was another one. There's too many movies. Irishman? Yeah. Anyway, all those got nominated for more than 10, which is pretty remarkable. I may have said that, I don't know. And also in the editing Oscar category, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not nominated, which is pretty shocking, actually, because it's very hard to win Best Picture without being nominated for Best Editing. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is sort of considered the favorite. So that's something I wanted to add to there. There's a short on Turner Classic Movies called Silence Please. It features one of the guys talking heads is this kid Shane Fleming, who's pretty young. I think he's still in high school. He was in my Night at the Cartoon Carnival short I made back then. He's a really cool guy. If you see it, it's on YouTube. I need to tweet it out at some point. It's basically about what's so cool about silent movies. I've met him. I've talked to him a few times. Sorry, I need some water. I've talked to him a few times. He's a really smart kid. I know he's been on TCM before, but it's a cool little short. I need to tweet it out at some point. I really enjoyed it. And I like TCM's little, kind of interstitial things are always, really great. All right. Two things, then don't have a lot of things. These are a lot of short things. Then I'll do Robert Downey Jr., I guess. The Mindhunter cast has been released from their contracts. Apparently, David Fincher's kind of not as into Mindhunter as he used to be, most likely because he's working on Mank, which is about the Mankiewicz who wrote Citizen Kane, and working on the second season of Love and Robots, whatever. And he's less interested in Mindhunter. No one's sure when he's going to come back, and there's certain things they need to figure out, but he sort of wants to figure out these two creative projects first, and then he will go back to Mindhunter. I'm curious. I didn't see the robot show, but I would like to see Mankiewicz. I'm very excited for, so that should be cool. The trailer for Lovebirds came out. It is directed by Michael Showalter and stars Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae, and takes place in New Orleans. It looks really cool. Michael Showalter previously directed Kumail Nanjiani in The Big Sick, and Michael Showalter also was in Stella. He did The Buster, which was Michelle Williams' romantic comedy. It was pretty cool. He's an interesting guy. I've noticed his career has kind of changed after The Big Sick. This looks like a fun, romantic kind of comedy. I like Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani. I feel like he's been looking for a good kind of action-y sort of vehicle. Probably wants that before The Eternals. This probably would be better, actually, if it came out after The Eternals, but whatever. But regardless, it looks like a fun trailer. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I would definitely see it on Netflix or something. It looked like one of those. Steven Soderbergh has signed a 3-year deal with HBO Max. Steven Soderbergh's sort of been switching between streaming services. He was on Netflix for High Flying Bird and The Laundromat. I didn't see The Laundromat, but High Flying Bird I think is one of the best movies of last year. You should check it out. It was all shot with an iPhone. It's really interesting. But he is making a movie. He shot a movie currently with Meryl Streep that is going to be on HBO Max. He's already working on another movie, which apparently might be on HBO Max. But this deal is more to develop kind of big mainstream things like Ocean's 11, like big hits. So he's going to kind of be making bigger movies again. He's not going to... It sounds like he doesn't want to do the weird art stuff for a couple years, supposedly, apparently the rumor is with this deal. I don't see Steven Soderbergh not doing that for that amount of time, but you never know with that guy. So I'm kind of curious what this deal is. Apparently it's a very big deal. He made a lot of money from it. But they do consider... I mean, the thing is about Steven Soderbergh, if you sign a deal with him, the guy makes 2 movies a year, and he could potentially make even more. I mean, I think he makes 3 to 4. He makes a lot of stuff, and like he just likes making stuff. So signing a deal with him makes sense because you're going to get bang for your buck regardless. And I'm a huge Steven Soderbergh fan, so it sounds like I will definitely be getting HBO Max, even though I didn't see Unsane. I need to see The Laundromat. I think those are my only 2. But I bet you they let him make like smaller, weirder stuff if he wants to. The Christian Bale movie I talked about, the David O. Russell movie I talked about a couple movie craps ago, called Amsterdam, apparently is going to happen. I think I previously talked about Jamie Foxx might be involved. Apparently he's still in talks. The only thing that was different from what I previously talked about is Margot Robbie is being considered and not Jennifer Lawrence, so which is kind of an interesting twist on that. I see a lot of Bad Boys 4 puns going on in the chat, which is interesting since you guys are funny. But yeah, so but Christian Bale apparently is going to do that. Apparently the way this movie is set up is he can still do Thor Love and Thunder because he's shooting way after that, which everyone liked to point out. And also apparently David O. Russell had a kind of a heist movie with Michael B. Jordan in development, which sound kind of cool to me. Next is the Safdie brothers made a short film with Adam Sandler, which is called, it's on Vimeo, and it is called Goldman vs. Silverman. It looked cool. It's basically about 2 like Times Square kind of guys going up against like performers, like kind of fighting with one another over a good spot. Adam Sandler plays one of the guys, one of the Safdie brothers. It's like Ben Safdie plays the other one. It's sort of like just a weird little sketch of Jimbo, your opinion on the SpongeBob reboot from Flip a Dip Dip. Thank you for the super chat there. Cheers to you. Just for clarification, do you mean the movie or you mean like a show? I'm unaware of like a SpongeBob reboot necessarily, so let me look this up. Thank you very much for the super chat. Did this just Squidward reboot show? I mean, I don't really think you need to because the show hasn't really gone anywhere. So like to me, honestly, I don't think you would. Why would you want to reboot it? I think just give it like a fresh coat of paint for a new season. Like unless you're like, to me, like that doesn't make any sense because to reboot something you have to sort of go away. It doesn't sound like, the Camp Kroll thing. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't really get the point of doing all these like spin-offs and stuff. Why not just like have a couple episodes, like shorter cartoons from Squidward's perspective, or do these different things, or the Camp Coral thing and all that. Why not have these be little shorts and see how they do before you do full spin-offs? Like I don't know. I know that now that Hillenburg's dead, they're like doing all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm excited for the movie, but all the TV stuff worries me. So I'm very concerned, basically. So thank you for the super chat. So that's sort of how I feel about it. But yeah, the Safdie brothers short film, it's kind of a sketch. It doesn't really have much of a point other than it's like a little scuffle in Times Square, and then it's sort of over. I don't if you're into Uncut Gems, check it out. It makes me think that maybe Adam Sandler will work with the Safdie brothers again. But Jim Carrey made a short with Michelle Gondry, and I don't see those two working together again anytime soon, and that sucks. All right, I think that's everything, and I wanted to get to Kit Bull, but before I do that, and while I look up before I talk about Kit Bull, so Robert Downey Jr. has Doolittle, which I'm not sure if I'm going to see because I'm The short's not on Vimeo? I watched it today on Vimeo, so if it's not, it should be on Vimeo, Alex Menace. I'm sorry if it is. I think I need to... Yeah, if I can find it, I'll tweet it out. So I wanted to talk about Robert Downey Jr. because he's sort of in a weird place in his career, because Endgame and Marvel and him are over. It's not happening anymore, obviously, because of Endgame. Spoilers, I guess. And I'm not sure, like, Doolittle is clearly going to bomb. And it seems like he, as a movie star, I find kind of odd, because not to bring up The Judge, and I know the meme of me saying The Judge stuff, but the thing about The Judge is, and most of what Robert Downey Jr. has done outside of Marvel, is like he could have done a lot of star vehicles, and the only ones he's really done that weren't Sherlock Holmes movies is like Due Date and The Judge, and that's it, and he's not developing anything more. And I kind of feel like, you know, he's considered like the biggest movie star, but to me, he's not a movie star. Tony Stark is a movie star. Robert Downey Jr., like, he needs to put out like a simple action movie starring Robert Downey Jr. And I know he was like deeply considered and really seriously talking about doing Inherent Vice with Paul Thomas Anderson. I was talking to Paul Thomas Anderson a lot about doing a movie, and he never did, which I think is a huge mistake. But the saddest thing about Robert Downey Jr. to me in his career is that, like, he had such a great supporting actor career. Like, he was such a cool actor in, like, Chaplin and, like, Wonder Boys and, like, Home for the Holidays, like, all Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder to me is like just right after, literally months after Iron Man, but that one would count, I guess. But it's just like he doesn't take advantage of how good of an actor he is, because he doesn't challenge himself. It was interesting. I saw clips of him on Joe Rogan. I don't really watch Joe Rogan, but I'll watch a 5-minute clip, and he talked about how, like, what he considered Civil War to be like a good place acting wise to go, which I was like, yeah, he was actually a lot better in Civil War, but I wish he would do something interesting. And I think when Doolittle bombs, he's going to have to confront like what he wants the rest of his career to be, because he's just been coasting on making tons of money off Marvel, and I just find it just like upsetting, because he's such a good actor, and I wish he'd do something interesting, and he has the power to do that. And it's just like he makes like The Judge and Doolittle with his producing deal, which both times him and his wife's production company was at Warner Brothers. The Judge bombed. Then he went to Universal and made another movie that's definitely going to bomb. So we'll see how that's going, but it's just, yeah. So I saw a couple of people in the chat were like, why are you talking about Kit Bull now? I'm going to talk about Kit Bull now, if you're wondering. And it's because it was nominated for Best Animated Short. I thought what I'm going to try to do is try to review each of the animated shorts like each week up into the Oscars. I don't know if I can see all of them, but I just did Kit Bull because it's the easiest to see. I know there's various Spark shorts, and I might try to review those, but there's so many, and I don't know about that. But Kit Bull, because it's a little more relevant, I guess you could say, and it's Oscar nominated, so I wanted to talk about it. So, is Doolittle cinema. It's the greatest kind of cinema you've ever seen. Yes. Okay, so Kit Bull, which is directed by Rosanna Sullivan, who's formerly a storyboard artist at Pixar. And this is part of the Spark. Oh. Yes, Zane Powers for a super chat. Hold on. Hello, Zane Powers. Thank you very much for the super chat. Cheers to you. He did say he would return if the kind of part was right and everything like that, but it seemed like there'd be it was kind of like if all the variables lined up, but that's sort of like one of those actor things, like if we had the perfect script kind of thing. But it's like, I don't know. I think, to be honest, like, since he's not doing too many things, and he just left it, we'll see like when that offer actually happens and stuff like that. A lot of people think he'll have a cameo in Black Widow, actually, but we'll see about that. But yeah, he has said he might do it potentially. So Kit Bull, I thought, which is part of the Pixar Spark Short program, and is on Disney Plus as well as on YouTube. I know there are other shorts that are on YouTube, but most of them are on Disney Plus. But Kit Bull what I really like about Kipple and what I like about Pixar shorts now versus when we first got them is they will drastically be different character design-wise and animation than what we normally get from Pixar. I wish we saw that kind of experimentation in their actual features, which they don't seem to want to break from their usual character design and style. That's something I really like about Kipple. But I think what obviously everyone loves about that short is the relationship between the pit bull and the little cat, which I found really heartwarming and beautiful. It was almost like too intense. We watched it as a family, and watching a pit bull literally be beaten and abused is I don't know. They should have maybe warned me about that, but they probably did, and I didn't read it. But that was a little intense, and it really kind of like went there. But it almost felt like a real story of animals, because animals, sadly do get abused and do get hurt, and it felt like almost a bigger slice of reality. It didn't feel like, in terms of being an animated character who can do all sorts of crazy things, it felt like a real beautiful slice of life kind of thing. I liked how much like life, I thought a lot about how the cat in it, so basically the plot of it is this cat lives in this box. It's really happy in this box with its little stuffed animal that it curls up against, and then a pit bull kind of moves into that backyard and is chained up, and they slowly become friends. But at first the cat, just because the cat sees this pit bull who's obviously being trained to fight rip apart stuffed animals, the cat's very apprehensive about being friends with this dog, and especially because it likes snuggling up to its stuffed animal, doesn't want anything bad to happen to its stuffed animal, and that's such a part about why the cat hates the dog. But it's sort of funny they drop that, and I think the cat stuffed animal, I notice it gets sort of like, it at a certain point it's more about their relationship, but that's sort of like, at first I was like, well, is that bad screenwriting or is it interesting? And I kind of have gone half and half on it, but I kind of feel like it's actually kind of part of life, because oftentimes when you're mad at someone or you're apprehensive about someone when you first meet them, like when you become friends later on, you're like, man, why did I even care about that? I don't even know where that is now. And it's really nice. I really like the design of it, but I really like the heart of it, which is obviously what you think of Pixar. But I like the kind of real life story of them, their friendship, and how they get through this horrible situation. And I think that's one of the beautiful things of Kipple, is it's able to show real a real tough time in a dog's life, and this homeless cat as well, and showing them finding a way out and finding kind of hope through their friendship and kind of love through their friendship. I thought was really heartwarming and beautiful, while also kind of not holding back, showing you like how rough it can be for these characters. This is very much not like kind of like sort of like a safe kind of family thing. It's very much kind of going there, and I was a little surprised by it. It's riskier than Pixar tends to be in a lot of ways, and I think that it's just really beautiful in what it was doing. I really like Kipple. I really like the design of it, and I thought it was probably one of the better Pixar shorts I've seen in a little bit. I haven't seen all the Spark shorts, admittedly. I would like to see more of them. I should see more of them. But after seeing this, it kind of made me want to watch all of them. And it showed me, I think one of the things that now that we have streaming and a lot of streaming services, it seems like a lot of companies want to make more short animated things. And it feels like right now, before we have like a hit character or something, everyone's going to be weirder and experimental. And I hope that period never ends, the weirder experimental phase. I hope we keep doing that. And Kipple seems to really take advantage of that while also having a really strong story. Because I think as experimental and weird as you want to be, in terms of most filmmaking, film and all the design, everything is made to tell a story. You're storytellers, And if you're going to use like this great art form to tell a story, it's nice when it's a very well written one, but it's nice when it's a very well written one that's designed and animated as beautifully as Kipple is. All right, Nick Nighter. All right, I should see Float. Okay, so this is, I think it's just time for the questions now, I think. Let's if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them, and then that'll sort of be that'll be it, I guess. Sorry. If you wanted to hear me talk about Morbius, or if you wanted to hear me talk about Morbius or the Oscar nominations again, check out the last stream that I did on Monday that was specifically about the Oscar nominations, and Morbius just come out. Anyway, if anyone that's so bad, Ryan. That was, sorry. That's funny. How was your day? I had a good day. Thank you very much. It was, a lot going on, but it was a good day for me personally. Next, hold on. Jesus B. Question: what are your top 3 Beastie Boys songs? What's your favorite album? My favorite album is Check Your Head. I like What You Want. I like Intergalactic is just a bop, I guess you could say. If people say that, then I'm saying it. I would even say Sure Shot. I really like Sure Shot. I like a lot of the remixes that they did on the Root Down. But there's this one remix of Root Down in the Criterion Collection DVD that I love. That's awesome. Discount Viscount. I plan on visiting New York, New Jersey this April. What place should I check out? Wow. The MoMA is really good. It depends on what you want from the city. I would do that. I would, if you are hungry, a dollar pizza advice I would say is go to a dollar pizza place that is crowded and not one that is empty, because the crowded ones will have fresh pizza and the not crowded ones will have pizza that has been sitting under a light for too long. So always remember that. I would also, let's see, Little Italy's fun. I would try to hit up as much touristy stuff as you want to do. Try to see stuff you want to do. But yeah, I would do the MoMA. I would do like a nice walk through Central Park. I prefer Prospect Park, but that's because I live in Brooklyn. But I would just hit up as much of the landmarks, because one, you want to say you did New York properly, and two, if you ever come back, you can be like, yeah, I did that bullshit. I could do other stuff. And if you want to see a movie, Lincoln Center has one of the best IMAXs in the world. That's on my list. And also the Sesame Street signs right near it, so you can check that out too. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think that's... Sorry, I'm not good at... Anyway. Question: what's the ETA on the Infinity Train book 2 review? I was going to bring that up before I left today. So, tomorrow night at 10:30, when we usually have movie crap, that is when the Infinity Train book 2 review will come out. I might be seeing a movie at the time, so if it doesn't... schedule doesn't work, it might come out a little later, but it is going to come out then. I noticed a lot of Infinity Train book 2 reviews were going on like websites today, so I thought I was late, but apparently I'm not. But it is done. It is coming out tomorrow. I really liked it, I guess, but I don't want to say anything more. I think it's a good review. I'm proud of it. Nathaniel Foga: do you think Pan will ever pop up in the chat? It's possible. That's really a question you have to ask him. I've never asked anyone. Thank you, Nick Nitro, for being here. I've never asked anyone to be in the chat, so they just come. So if Pan wants to be on the chat, just, that would be cool. But yeah, maybe one day. I don't know. I think he would. Thoughts on the Batman movie that's in production? I'm excited for it. I think Matt Reeves will make a cool Batman movie. I love his Planet of the Apes movies, like duh. And I think it'll be a cool... movie. I think it'll be a cool movie. Everyone thinks it's going to be a Long Halloween. I think it's going to be something different from a Long Halloween. I hope it is, but we'll see. Everyone was just obsessed with the idea that it's Long Halloween, but I don't know if it is. On a side note, ready for animated films of 2020 competition. What's my most anticipated? I'm a little interested in Scoob and SpongeBob. Those interest me. Didn't I do a thing? Soul is my most anticipated. So Soul I'm like really excited for. Onward I'm less excited for. And I'm really excited for Primal, but that's not a movie, but whatever. Are there any other energy drinks you think will compare to Red Bull? No, I like that one. The pizza place from Spider-Man 2. That one's Yeah, I forget which one it exactly is. There's a lot of places that say it is. I will point that out. Nick Nitro, will you ever review Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny? Just asking due to my blatant inclination of loving that movie. Thank you, Nick Nitro. I haven't, and I'm not sure why I didn't when it came out, to be honest with you. But I haven't gotten a lot of requests, but I guess if I did, maybe I would. I do like Tenacious D a lot. I'm actually not sure why I've never seen it or reviewed it. I don't have a good reason for that, to be honest with you. I still haven't seen it, and I wouldn't be against doing that. So I don't really have a good reason. I'm sorry. I should have seen it. When did that come out? Was that like before I was making videos? Damn, I don't even know. Anyway. Sorry. Next animation. Do you put on the socks first or the pants first? Pants first. It's like, then you gotta put your socks through your pants? Like, what kind of weird nonsense is that? I just don't understand that. Bruce Parker, if you had access to a cartoon with an overplayed setup such as Scooby-Doo or Tom and Jerry, what would you do to make it different? Would this be harder considering Mystery Inc.? I think so. Scooby-Doo, I think it would be harder, but I think with a lot of those, the blueprints on how to make those are pretty much there. You just have to use that blueprint and play off of that blueprint. And I think that's what you do. Tom and Jerry, I would just simply like look at what they did and try to basically make a silent comedy with Tom and Jerry. And most of the best Tom and Jerry's are just like gag after gag after gag. I would probably do it like I would just have a team of animators and say, okay, we have to go from here to there. Who's got gags? And just write it that way in like a storyboard fashion. That's how I do Tom and Jerry, frankly. Paley Center is good. Question from Not Plausible. With 1917 being so highly reviewed, will this generate some more interest in World War I cinema? I think World War I has been getting a lot of more appearances lately after Wonder Woman and other stuff. I hope it does. If it does, I would recommend The Big Parade and Wings are both two great silent World War I movies. Also, All Quiet on the Western Front too, but that's like one everybody says, but you should have seen that anyway at this point. It's really great. Zane Powers, thoughts on the movies Warriors of Virtue, A Kid in King Arthur's Court, and Now You See Me. I have a review of Now You See Me, so you can check that one out from 2013. I remember sort of being fine with it. A Kid in King Arthur's Court, I remember liking when I was a kid. I don't know Warriors of Virtue. Sorry. Question: if we lived in a crazy world where we continually received interesting... Damn it. Sorry. Okay. If we lived in a crazy world where we continually receive interesting risks, if Shane Carruth directed a Marvel property, what should he do? Probably Doctor Strange, to be honest. And since that's looking for a director, coincidentally, I would probably say Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange Shane Carruth would be really cool. I wouldn't mind if he did. Yeah, I think that would be the best one. I can't think of a better one than that. The AMC on 34th is okay. It's alright. It's alright. Oh, the Museum of Moving Image is a good choice. You should do that. And the Jim Henson exhibit's awesome. What's your experience with Dungeons and Dragons from Austin? I didn't really play it that many times, and I kind of wish I had. It seemed like a lot of fun. Everyone I know who's plays it, like, loves it, and I wish I had. I played it like once and I wasn't into it, and the person I don't think sold it very well, but maybe, I don't know. I wish I watched the cartoon. I've seen every episode of the cartoon when it aired in the 80s. What did you do in your angsty teenage phase? A lot of stuff, and I don't want to talk about it. Question: you think Marvel has the balls to get Robert Eggers for Doctor Strange 2? No. Do I think Robert Eggers would do it? Absolutely not. So I don't know. I think they'll just get somebody who's like a little horror-y, but not someone as extreme as Eggers. I think they'll go with like, I don't know. I don't even think they'll get the Purge guy. They're not going to get anybody interesting. I seriously doubt they will. Yeah. Damn, I just realized. Oh, thank you, Nick Nitro, for liking that I was on. Opinions on 60s, 70s space cinema like First Man and Apollo 13. Those aren't really 60s, 70s movies. I like First Man. I've actually shot a review of it that I never edited. I like Apollo 13 a lot. I haven't watched it in a little bit, but I saw it in theaters when it originally came out. And I remember actually the AC was really turned up really high, and it was really cold during the space stuff, and it gave it this kind of cool feel to it. I remember that. Man Ray of Hope 23. Have you ever seen the Black Dragon Queen Brittany Venti or the Drunk Lord Cecil? They live in New York City too. I don't know what. No, I don't think I have, because I don't know what that is. Sorry. Zane Powers, do you think Sophie and or her friends consider you a cool dad or a lame dad? And if they're too young, what do you think they'll think when they're older? I mean, I don't know. I'm probably not the coolest dad, so that's probably nobody's dad's that cool. Nick Nitro, what's your feelings towards the zombie genre? Sorry, I'm gonna take a Red Bull. Just it's getting late. I generally like the zombie genre. I'm more of a Romero purist, but I like zombie films when they mean something. I'm not so into zombie films when it's just about survival and nonsense. It's really not my thing. But I like when zombie films are like a metaphor. I love that shit. That's great. But in general, like if it's a good zombie movie, was it The Girl with the Gifts or something? There's a good one a couple years ago that's on Amazon Prime about a girl who's like half zombie, and I really like that one. And now I forget what it's called. Anyway, Alex the Menace, since you have When You're Strange on your movie vote, is it right for me to assume you like The Doors? I didn't put that on there. Someone else did, because they're a patron. I didn't select that movie. But I do like The Doors. I used to really like The Doors. I'm not as into them now. I haven't listened to them in a while. But in general, I like The Doors. I have, I think, a couple that maybe 4, including Greatest Hits on CD somewhere. But I don't have any of them on. We listen to vinyl a lot now, and I don't think I've listened to them in a while. So, but they're still cool to me. Zane Powers, from what I've heard about Thundercats Roar, is it the Be Cool Scooby-Doo of Thundercats? No, I think it's a lot better than that. That's mean. It's better than that. I did a review of it. You can check it out. I think you were here when I did it, Zane, but if you weren't, you can check it out. Bruce Parker, what sequel feels the most needless considering there are so many currently? Speed 2 or Jaws 2? Probably Jaws 2. Have you seen The Witcher yet? No, I have not. I have not seen The Witcher. I'm sorry. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest. It looks cool. I've seen the toxic matchup with the sword fight thing. That seemed really great. Is it like that? Probably not. Male Tears. Someone's name. I like it. Jim, have you ever seen Party Monsters starring Seth Green and Macaulay Culkin? I have seen Party Monster way back in the day. It seemed cool. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed alright. It's not my favorite movie, but it was fun for what it was, I guess, as I recall. It's been a long time since I saw it. I think I saw it when it originally came out. Ace the Wind Rider, Jim, if you were radioactive and bit someone, what powers would they get? Probably just a lot of stupid, I don't know, maybe knowing a lot about movies. We'll see. Favorite Knock Force Quickie and song? Party Song and probably Deadly Assault. Separate questions, separate answers, but both have songs in them. One's a quickie and one's not, I guess. Zane Powers, you said last week Fox was preparing for Simpsons and Family Guy to leave. Can you explain that? Is the Simpsons and Family Guy ending or something? It was something an executive said that they were preparing for the end. So that's what I was talking about last week. But I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but they said they're just preparing for it. Thoughts on Dr. Strangelove from Ace Wind Rider? I mean, it's a great movie. There's a lot to say about it. It's a really great satire. Have I seen the terrible Resident Evil movies from Nick Nitro? I have seen one, and it was a long time ago, and I've wanted to watch them because I've heard people say they're good, junky fun. Adrian Sarah, if after you review Juwanna Man, would you like to interview me for a video? I would actually like to know why you like Juwanna Man, so I would consider that. So maybe I will do that at some point. How often are these streams? I'd love more of these, my guy. They're usually on Saturday nights at 10:30, but I had to do it on Friday this week because of scheduling stuff. But I will be back next Saturday at 10:30, but it's usually Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, I'd like to see you again, Nick Nitro. It's very nice to see you. Jim, have you actually been to the Bedbug Theater in NYC? I don't go to it anymore, but I have a long time ago. Any good Korean War movies? MASH. Isn't MASH a Korean War movie? I think so. What's your least favorite movie genre? Probably biopic. What would you do if you won the lottery from Zane Powers? Probably make a lot more YouTube videos. Oh, I'm glad you had a good birthday, Courtney. Congratulations again. You miss any Friday night blocks like TJF or Cartoon Fridays? I do miss Cartoon Fridays, but I don't miss it as much because when you're a kid, you can watch stuff, and when you're an adult, I'm usually like cleaning up and doing stuff, and it doesn't really represent the same thing. So, you know. What happened to the Max reboot? It's still, nothing's really moved on it, but possibly something. Watto or Boss Nash? Maybe Boss Nash. Parasite is playing in my town, and foreign films never play here. Oh, good for you. Why do you smell like Updog? I think I'm going to end questions soon. Do we have any more? Are you sad about Hard Turbo not coming to Netflix? Not really. Dogs are trick question. It's obviously dogs. I don't really, you know what I've noticed? Dog people care about that question, and cat people are like, I accept both. That's what I've noticed. When is a director copying another director a good thing and not plagiarism? I think we live in an age of postmodernism, and people use other people's styles to make a point and say something with them. So it is totally okay to do that, and I don't think it's plagiarism. Question: if everyone's asking me this fear leads to anger thing, I don't get it. Thank you for being here, Nick Nitro. I hope you heard that. Do you ever wish you were a kid again? No. No. Favorite mode of transportation? Subway. Okay, and I think that's it. Alright, guys. So I think this was a good stream. I'm sorry it's a little shorter, but them's the breaks. I wanted to talk about what came out this week from my channel. First off, on Patreon, you can watch a Knockforce commentary video. It is I did commentaries for Quickie 3 and 4. If you are a patron, go check that out. It is there right now. I mainly in the past week put out segment reviews from the last movie crap of Thundercats Roar and the Owl House. But my review of Infinity Train Book 2 will come out tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. So be here for that if you have been waiting for that. And I will I'm working on a bigger kind of video that I think everyone will like. It's just taking a long time to do, but I'm excited for it. And that's all I'll say. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming to the stream and being here. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. I will be back with Movie Crap Live next Saturday. So it'll be 8 days, but you got 2 streams this week, so I think that worked out. And I will see you then. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for being here. And check out those reviews and subscribe if you would like to.